Andrew, hi, afternoon. Want to get you in on the discussion as well before we talk about individual stocks. What is this smacking off? I mean, on the last two consecutive days, we're seeing acute selling pressure, a big reversal actually today in place from where we started off today, led by heavyweights like an HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, SBI. Clearly indicative, like our chartist was suggesting, that there could be some FI selling which could be underway. And I mean, to think of it, start of the year, everyone had a consensus buy call on banks.
Yeah, it's been a perennial kind of underperformer for, a long time now. And it's I thought some of the news or the bad news was out of the way, given some of the RBI's actions. But maybe there's something that we're kind of missing. Maybe there's something more on, unsecured loans that, the RBI is worrying about. Because it's been kind of relentlessly underperformance. And for everyone coming into the year, when you see GDP growth forecast being raised, you would have thought that was a great catalyst for the banks to kind of lead the market higher. That's not the case. So it tells me that there's something that the market's worrying about, which is not yet known to us. And I think that can only be either regulations or some problems with unsecured loans. That's the only thing I can think of at the moment, because there's no reason for this underperformance.
Among the small caps, there are some individual counters, Nuresh, which are doing phenomenally well. It appears to be a breakout on JSW Energy. This one did not participate in other power stocks, kind of moving higher last few weeks. Is it breaking out of the range?
So, yeah, a little still away from the range breakout. So, if we go back, the stock had topped out back in 2020 and around 400 odd levels. Post that, over the last few months, it has made a couple of tops around 440 to 460 levels. So, that's a range that needs to break out. But overall, making higher tops and higher bottom formations, the last breakout was at 300, which was done with very large volumes. So, the structure is positive. One would have a stop loss below 410. And expect first a test of 460, and once it crosses 460, that is where a range breakout takes place.
Right. Okay, that's the take coming in on JSW Energy. In fact, quite a few newsmakers out there. I just want to bring up the intraday graph of Z. News reports indicating that the merger with Sony is called off. Then clarification also coming in that, that's only speculative news stories that you're currently seeing. While the stock may have lifted off from the day's highs, but it's still under pressure by a good 7% as we speak right now. A bunch of other names which are actually resilient in this market U-turn that we're seeing, especially with banks. Look at Godrej Properties, 3.25% higher, DLF up 3% right now. So real estate continues to chug along very smartly. And last week as well, you saw that massive move coming in on realty names, which refuses to subside. Andrew, clearly seems like, the market has more appetite for realty.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, from all the indications from the companies and the kind of sales that they're enjoying, the kind of growth continues to apace there. I think also, because the banking sector is not really reflecting some of this buoyancy in the economic growth, then real estate is obviously a bet on two things. One, the demand being very high. And two, interest rates will start to fall sometime this year, with maybe the Reserve Bank in the second quarter reducing rates by at least 25 basis points. So that will obviously have a great kind of tailwind for the real estate sector, despite the demand being very strong now. This is an extra tailwind. So I think maybe because the banks aren't reflecting any of this, the real estate sector is benefiting from it.
I'd like your opinion on media stocks, the way, beyond Z as well, DB Corp, HT Media, many of them, including Sun TV has actually done pretty well. And of course, the ad spends in the space has also gone higher. Some of them also have an option value of some sports angle also. Sun TV, for example, has a cricket team in there. I like your opinion on that. But before that, there is an interesting saga developing on the Z-Sony merger as well. Ankur is here with additional details on whether the deal is moving forward or not. There was a big gap down this morning and the stock has recovered almost 80% of those losses. Ankur, what do you gather?
Yes, there are two parties to the merger, and on one hand, Sony, as per sources, is not very keen on extending the merger timeline. However, Z has clearly stated they are committed towards the merger and they are continuing ahead for closing this deal. Now, this is important because you would understand that 1 month grace period after December 21 is expiring on January 20. Remember, it was a 2-year merger timeline which was signed by both the parties, which ended on December 21, and after that both of them agreed on discussion whether or not to extend that merger timeline. Now, as per sources, Sony was not very keen on continuing with the extension of that merger timeline. However, Z is maintaining that they want to continue with the merger and they are committed towards closing it. Now, all in all, it depends on the fact that whether or not both the parties agree on who will be the next CEO of the merged entity. Because as per sources, the agreement was not made whether or not Puneet Goenka can be CEO of the merged entity, and that was the bone of contention between both the parties. Now we need to wait and see till January 20 at least, till that time, if at all an agreement is being made between both the parties.
Yeah, Ankur. Andrew, have you looked at this space? Silently, the space stocks have done very well in the last few months.
No, it's not a kind of sector I've really focused in on, and obviously it's nice to watch from the sidelines what's happening. I think for other stocks, I mean, obviously all the kind of merger activity has kind of helped these stocks along the way as well. And maybe if some of these mergers don't happen, they'll be the beneficiaries as well, because the kind of the competition is going to be a little less severe. So it's, as I said, it's not a sector I really I really follow too closely.
And the mightiest of them all has really been Sun TV. Of course, it's not a pure play media play. It's got that IPL exposure as well. In the 3-month basis itself, it's seen a gain of about almost 20% or so. And I think what would be more pertinent is to bring up the 1-year chart. That's where it's made more gains. But as we take a very quick break...
Interesting IPO, which is also around the corner. But Andrew, what are your thoughts on chemicals? On the one hand, players like Aarti, etc., have not slowed down their expansion despite of a weakish phase in exports. One of the other big companies like UPL are coming out and the promoter wants to raise their stake via rights in this cyclical low. Is it time to start accumulating chemical stocks, or you think it's early in the cycle?
I still think it's a bit early. I mean, if you take a view, which we are, that the US is going to head towards recession, and obviously that will drag the other areas down, other countries down as well, including Europe, which is also being affected by China's slowdown. I don't see exports as being the way forward in terms of the theme at the moment. So I'd rather wait and see how quickly the interest rates start to fall on the back of very much slowing growth globally, and I think that will probably get us towards the bottom. But until then, I would just sit on the sidelines. I think there's time is on our side before looking at the chemical sector as a whole at this moment.
Okay, Andrew, stay with us. Lots more to talk about. But talking about the IPO market, Lisa, let's hear out the subscription data so far for Jyoti CNC.
Yes, so Jyoti, CNC, the IPO has been subscribed 1.7 times till now. And talking about the company, well, it's a CNC machine manufacturing company. The order book has been around 3,300 crore, where 10% of it comes from the EMS, global EMS company. It's the third largest player in India with 10% market share. And they also include marquee clients like ISRO, BrahMos, Tata Advanced System, Bharat Forge, Rolex Rings. Talking about the IPO, the subscription that began today, that will end on 11 Jan. The tentative date of listing, that is on 16th Jan. And it's an issue size, the total issue size, that is around 1,000 crore, where major portion, I mean the almost 100% portion is for fresh issue, and there is no portion for offer for sale. And the implied market cap is around 7,500 crore. The objects of the issue, around 400 crore, that will be utilized for paying off the debt, and the remaining that will be used for paying off the working capital. So that was on Jyoti CNC, which has been subscribed 1.7 times till now.
Okay, that's some extremely vibrant numbers, and look at the kind of appetite that this IPO is seeing. It's already subscribed 6.5 times on the retail book, and I think 3 odd times on the HNI segment, or the the HNI segment. But Andrew, what's that telling you about as to how niche paper is finding huge appetite in the market? You know, case in point being a JNC. I don't know how much you've looked into the prospectus and the company details or not, because valuations clearly after a point are not a consideration.
No, I mean, I think well, we've seen quite a number of the IPOs opening up at lesser discounts recently, haven't we? So I think the investors are becoming a little bit more discerning in terms of which companies they really want to bet on for the future. And I think that's the good thing about IPO market is you are getting new companies, which can grow a lot quicker than maybe some of the existing, within those sectors. So I think you have to look at each one individually and work out what kind of premium you think you might be able to get. And also what kind of target price you would have for the future, because it's not just the opening day listing price that you're playing for; it's a longer term. So I think once you've done that homework, then it's fine. But at the moment, I think the IPO market will probably kind of settle down a little less exuberant than it was, say towards back end of November, December.
Let's also hear out the management of Jyoti CNC on their margin outlook. How is it likely to improve from here on?
In terms of its $80 billion size of industries, India is close to $3 billion, and India is growing, is more than 20% and going to grow more than 20% in there. Let's say it's a pre-COVID level. We were always at 20-22%.
Okay.
And now it's coming back to normal utilizations, and these are two main growth drivers are coming. We are expecting a little bit more than that in a past average. Let's say in a H1 number, if you look at that, in H1 we are already from the last year H1 to this year H1, we are already 4% has been improved there.
Okay, Andrew, we'll let you go on that one. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. The market, kind of reversed from the top. They stabilized, still in the green, but not, of course, sharply off highs. How would you trade the rest of the half an hour or even take positions overnight? Kunal, coming to you first.
So I'll probably, in terms of futures position, I will still be bearish on the bank Nifty at current levels and have few sell trades. So HDFC Bank is the closing trade, which I would initiate on the short side. I think still at 1655, 1660 mark. I would expect the stock to come back towards at least 1620 before the bearish pattern sort of negates itself for HDFC Bank.
Naresh, what's your reading on the weakness in banks, and would you also pick any of the banking counters as a short on closing trade?
So on the banks, looks like we are again going to retest those 47,000 levels. But technically, the momentum is not strong on either side. So that's clearly an indication that we are not seeing follow-up, implies we could get into a sideways consolidation. So out here, this is the time when you don't want to trade a lot on the indices, go stock specific more on the mid-cap side. So out there, the spot of strength has been pharma, and that is where we've seen good strength. So that is where my next stock comes from, that is Granules India, which gave a breakout and is retesting that 400, 410 mark. So could see a bounce back from here. So would continue to play defensive and go with Granules India as a closing trade.
Right, okay. That's the take coming in on what some of the closing trades are. But just a day before Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit kicks off, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is meeting global CEOs and other global dignitaries as well in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. In fact, my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi joins in with what the agenda for the Prime Minister is going to be like. Sumit?
Vibrant Gujarat 2024 Summit is going to kick off in Gandhinagar, Gujarat tomorrow. But before that, today is a day of high-profile meetings between PM Modi and top world leaders and global CEOs. Today's meetings, they have already happened, and these includes PM Modi's meeting with DP World's president, Suzuki Motors president, and Micron Technology president. The discussions took place with DP World president that included investments in logistics, investments in green ports and other infrastructure. With Suzuki Motor, investments in scrappage, also auto exports and other policies when it comes to automobile. Gujarat is a big automobile hub. Also, the meeting with the Micron Technology president, it included how to promote India as a destination for chip manufacturing. These were the big global CEO meetings that have happened today. It's a diplomatic day also for PM Modi, who's in Gujarat from 8th to 10th of January. Mozambique president has already landed. Timor-Leste president, the meeting with him has happened, and the big thing is the roadshow with UAE president that's going to start from the airport. So a big day of today's meetings. Vibrant Gujarat Summit started in 2003, and this year it's going to have around 28,000 MOUs, and who's who of the corporate world from India and overseas is going to attend this summit. So big day of PM Modi's meetings as far as world leaders and global CEOs is concerned.
Who's who? The one who everybody is really watching out for is
Elon Musk.
clearly.
Yeah.
So that is a special guest which everybody is talking about, will visit Vibrant Gujarat Festival this time
I'm
around.
sure he's going to be packed at the Mumbai airport.
Yeah,
We'll know when he makes
I think
his
he'll land
landing.
there directly.
In Gujarat?
Yeah, he will land there directly in his, latest jet, private jet. Take a break. Come
Okay,
back.
take a break, come right back. We'll track the last half an hour of trade.